I'm very proud. I was a PhD. देवी पर आम्ही डायरेक्टली मुंडा कडे केला होता. এটা কোথায় রাখো তুমি দেখে দাও.
Hare Krishna. Can you hear my voice? Am I audible? Okay. Let's start. Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Preshtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swaminiti Namine. Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshtarine. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare. Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna. So thank you all very much for joining today's session. We have been discussing from the fifth chapter of the fifth canto of Srimad Bhagavatam. The chapter is titled as Rishabhadev's instructions to his sons. So I'll do a quick recap of what we have seen till now. Rishabhadev says, Nayam deho dehabajam riloke, kashtan kaman arhate vidbujam ye, tapo divyam putraka yena sattvam shuddhyed yasmat brahma saukyam tvanantam. Okay. So he says that one who has a human body should not use it for ahara, nidra, bhaya, and maithuna, because this is available even for the animals. The purpose of human birth is to dharmo hitesham adhiko vishesho. They should engage in dharma. Okay. So that dharma should be either the gradual dharma leading to Sahajya Mukti or the direct dharma of bhakti, depending on their qualification. That is the meaning of tapo divyam. One should perform tapasya for attaining a transcendental destination. By that, yena sattvam shuddhyet, by which the heart is purified, yasmat brahma saukyam tvanantam, by which one can attain brahma saukya, which can mean the bliss of prema or the bliss of Sahajya Mukti, depending on the qualification of the person. Okay. Then, how do you get the qualification to perform the to perform the divyam tapa, the transcendental austerity? So he says, Mahat sevam dwara mahor vimuktais, tamodwaram yoshitam sangi sangam, mahantaste samachitta prashanta, vimanyavap suhrida sadavoye. By serving the Mahats, one can get the opportunity to, one can get the faith to either accept the gradual path or the direct path. And but if you associate with women or womanizers, or then it opens the door for hell. Tamodwaram yoshitam sangi sangam. Mahantaste samachitta prashanta vimanyavas suhridas sadavoy. And the qualities of the Mahants are given. Okay, so there are two types of Mahats. So, but of these two types of Mahats, the devotee Mahat is said to be the superior. Yeva maishe krita sauhridartha janeshu deham baravartikeshu griheshu jaya atmaja ratimatsu na priti yukta yavadartas chaloke. So here he says that, but those devotees who have made their goal of life affection for me, maya krita sauhrida artha. Okay, if they have made their goal of life affection for me, and they do not show any affection for those who are attached to materialistic lifestyle. We discussed on this. No affection means They don't look for their own emotional fulfillment through their association, but they definitely feel have a compassionate disposition towards them, and they definitely want them to come closer to Krishna. So it is not that they have a hatred towards people who are materialistically involved, but they may not, considering that a materialistic lifestyle is pratikul for their bhakti, they themselves may not want to engage, but when they see others engaged, they definitely feel compassionate towards them. Okay, like that. Nunam pramattah kurute vikarma yadindriya pritaya apranoti न साधु मन्ये यत आत्मनोयम असन्नपि क्लेशद आसदेहः. He says, but if the if a living entity becomes inattentive to bhakti because of lack of faith in bhakti, which is caused because there is no sufficient sukriti due to lack of sadhu kripa and sadhu seva, because of which one does not get sufficient sukriti, because of which one does not have faith in bhakti, and because he has no faith in bhakti, he is inattentive to bhakti. So, Nunam Pramattah, that Pramatta Jiva, who is inattentive to bhakti, becomes absorbed in sinful activities. Kurute Vikarma. Yadindriya Pritaya Apranoti. He becomes absorbed in sense gratification and engages in sinful sense gratification, because of which bondage, he becomes bound to this material world. Then the question arises, okay, if the bondage is caused due to attachment to sinful life, if bondage is due to sinful life, then why not I take up to pious life? Why can't I just take to pious life and escape bondage? He says, Parabhavas tavad abodha jato yavanna jigyasata atma tattvam. Yavat kriyas tavad idam mano vai karmatmakam yena sharira bandha. He says, no, just by pious life one cannot escape bondage. As long as one does not start inquiring about the difference between body and soul. Parabhavas tavad abodha jato yavanna jigyasata atmatattvam. Till then, bondage will not leave. One has to start that inquiry about the Atma. Okay. As long as one is involved in yavat kriyas tavad idam mano vai karmatmakam yena sharira bandha. As long as the one performs pious and sinful acts, the mind will be absorbed in actions, and that mind absorbed in actions within this material world will perpetuate the bondage of the living entity. So therefore, just engaging in pious activities in itself will not ensure release from this material world. Then the question arises, sorry, so it will not ensure release. So, but one has to start inquiring about the Atma. Then the question is inquiry about the Atma in itself sufficient to gain bondage? This question arises. So he says, Evam mana karma vasham prayunkte avidyayatman upadiyamane pritirna yavad mai vasudeve namuchyate deha yogena tavat. Okay. Thus, the karma vasanas make the mind fixed upon further action. Okay, the karma vasanas, as long as they are there, they will push the living entity to perform material activities. And because of this, the jiva will continue to accept subtle body. So it is not just, so inquiry into the Atma in itself is not sufficient. One has to actually have devotion to me. Pritirna yavad Mayi Vasudeve. As long as he does not have devotion for me, he will not be liberated from the body. So in this context, we were discussing that just performance of any kind of Jnana Yoga or Ashtanga Yoga without the element of bhakti will not lead to even attainment of Sayujya Mukti. The element of bhakti is absolutely critical. If bhakti is not there, then even the practices of Karma Yoga, Jnana Yoga, Ashtanga Yoga will not be fruitful. Tapasvino, Danapara, Yashasvino, Manasvino, Mantravida, Sumangala. Shemam na vindanti vinaya darpanam tasmai subhadra shravase namo namaha. Okay. So that will not have any effect. Then one says that, okay, if my practice has the element of bhakti, does it mean that I will attain liberation at the end of this life? This question arises. Okay, either I practice Shuddha Bhakti or I practice Mishra Bhakti or Karma Yoga, Jnana Yoga, etc., which has the element of bhakti. Is it that in this lifetime I will attain liberation, or after this lifetime I will attain liberation? Is that guaranteed? Rishabhadev says, no, it is not a guarantee that at the end of this lifetime you will attain. Yadana pashyat ayata guneham swarte pramattah sahasa vipaschit gatasmritir vindati tatra tapan asadya maitunyam agaram agnyah. As long as that practice of Jnana Yoga or Bhakti Yoga does not bring that person to the stage where he sees absolute futility of any kind of material engagement, where he is totally not interested in engaging in any sense gratification, which means as long as that Anatta Nivritti is not completed, absolutely complete, there is no question of liberation, which means the process is not sufficient, but the process should reach its fruition. It should reach its end. Only when the process is completed, only then it leads to liberation. Otherwise, mere engagement in the process and not completing the process will not lead to liberation. That's what he says. And what is the proof that you have reached closer to the end of the process? One will be absolutely detached from any kind of material sense gratification. And he will clearly see the futility of engagement in any action for sense gratification. So, till then there will be repeated birth and death. That's what he says. Till then there will be repeated birth and death. This is true for devotees also. Unless they reach the stage of prema, there is no question of going to the spiritual world. The only difference is that for the devotees, their next birth is not determined by karma, but for the karma yogis, jnana yogis, ashtanga yogis, their next birth is determined by karma, especially for the karma yogis. It is definitely determined by karma. Okay. So now, then he says that पुंसस्त्रिया मिथुनी भावमेतं तयोर्मितो हृदय ग्रंथि माहुः अतो गृह क्षेत्र सुताप्त जनस्य मोहोयमहं ममेति. In this endeavor for transcendental perfection, either in the form of Sayujya Mukti or Prema, or anywhere in between, like Shantarati or Salokya Mukti, etc., in the endeavor to escape this material world and situate oneself in the transcendental position, either in Sayujya Mukti, Salokya Mukti, or Shantarati, or Prema, in any of these endeavors, he says that the main obstacle is material attachments. And material attachments are of two types. Attachment to material objects, places, etc., or inanimate objects, and attachment to people. Okay. So, one gets attached to, so the second is attachment to people. Of the two, Kapiladev says, attachment to people is very difficult to give up. And especially if that attachment is a conjugal attraction between a male and a female, it becomes a mito hridaya granthi, a dual knot. Even if one person gives up, the other person cannot give up. It becomes double bondage. And this creates illusion for the jiva in relation to house, property, sons, relatives, wealth, etc. This aham mameti, this I consciousness and mind consciousness becomes very, very strong. Then he says, Yada mano hridaya grantirasya karmanubaddo drida ashlateta tada jana samparivartate smad muktah param yati atihaya hetum. So he says, he describes that by the path of this jnana, when the knot in the heart, even though tied tightly by the karma vasanas, when it becomes loose by the practice of this jnana yoga, then a person becomes free from bondage between man and woman. And then giving up this ahankara, he becomes ready for liberation. So that's what he says. When the knot in the heart, though tightly becomes loose, when it becomes loose, then a person can attain liberation. So then, this is by the path of jnana. Then he describes how the 25 limbs of Jnana Mishra Bhakti, how by practice of Jnana Mishra Bhakti, which is a better way of attaining liberation, because the quality of liberation that you get is either is Shantarati, not just Sayujya Mukti. So he talks about the various limbs of Jnana Mishra Bhakti. Some of them are limbs of Bhakti, some of them are limbs of Jnana. So this is mixed devotional service. He says, Hamse Gurau Mai Bhaktyanuvritya Vitrishnaya Dvandva Tidikshaya Cha Sarvatra Jantor Vyasanavagatya Jigyasaya Tapaseha Nivritya Mat Karmabir Mat Kataya Cha Nityam Mad Deva Sangat Gunakirtanam Me Nirvaira Samyopasame Upashamena Putra Jihasaya Deha Gehatma Buddhehe. He says, one can destroy the subtle body called Ahankar by devotion to Guru, devotion to me as a Paramahamsa, by lack of desire, by tolerance of dualities, by understanding the suffering of all the jivas, by inquiry into bhakti and the Lord, by austerities and by rejection of everything except the Lord. One can destroy the subtle body by actions dedicated to me, mat karmabir, by speaking about me constantly. These are limbs of bhakti. By associating with the devatas of whom I am the master, which means seeing the devatas as um, parts and parcels of the Supreme Lord and not independent of Him. Okay, and if at all there is any association, one associates only in this mode. That is what it means. By chanting my glories, by showing no hatred, and taking others' suffering as one's own, by absence of anger and lamentation, and by desiring to give up the identity with the house body, and even though it is impossible to give up those identities. That is why it is mentioned, jihasaya, deha, gehatma buddhe. It's a desire to give up, because giving up is difficult. Okay. Okay. Then he continues. Adhyatma yogena vivikta sevaya pranendriyatma abhijayena sadryak Sat Shraddaya Brahmacharyena Shashwad Asampramadena Yamena Vacham Sarvatra Madbhava Vichakshanena Jnanena Vijnana Virajitena Yogena Dhrityudyama Sattva Yukto Lingam Yapohet Kushaloham Akyam. He says, endowed with determination, effort, and enthusiasm, one gives up the subtle body by Adhyatma Yoga and by living in a solitary place. We saw this yesterday. Viviktarucha paritosha atmani vina harer guna piyusha panat. One should endeavor to live in a solitary place only as long as one has not developed the taste for discussing Krishna Katha. So one should then completely control the senses, life affairs, and mind. One should have faith in the scriptures, constant celibacy, non-rejection of duties, asampramadena. So we were talking about non-rejection of duties. So about this we saw non-rejection of obligatory duties. In this context, we saw yesterday that Krishna said that sannyasa karma yogascha nishreyasa karavubhav tayostu karma sannyasat karma yogo vishishyate. Even for a jnana yogi who may be qualified to give up karma, it is always safe to not give it up because because what if he had what if that person had made a improper judgment about himself, about his own purification? What if he was not completely purified, but assumed that he was purified? Then that will be a problem. Okay. So, therefore, the means of purification is varnashrama duties. Therefore, even for jnana yogis, for safety purposes, it is recommended that even if you think you are qualified to give up your prescribed duties, don't give up. Because by not giving up, you are not losing anything. You are not losing anything. Sannyasa karma yogasya nishreyasa karavubhav. Both karma sannyas and karma yoga can help you achieve perfection. Okay. That is why these 5 things are not recommended in Kali. And one of the 5 things is karma sannyas. Therefore, here Rishabhadev says that non-rejection of duties, asampramadena. Karmashayam hridayaganti bandham avidyaya saditam apramattah anena yogena yatopadesham samyak vyapohyo parameta yogat. According to the instructions of the Guru, by practice of this yoga with attention, one should completely destroy the bondage created by the knot in the heart, in which dwells all the karmas. So here again, karmas means karma vasanas. Okay. One should give up the process as well. So giving up the process, we were discussing yesterday that at every stage something is given up, but bhakti is not given up as soon as one takes up to the gradual path. In Sakama Karma Yoga, there is Kamya Karma, Nitya Karmas, Naimittika Karmas, and Bhakti. And by practicing that Sakama Karma Yoga, the goal becomes purified. When the goal becomes purified, one becomes agreeable to accept Nishkama Karma Yoga, where one practices Nitya Karmas, Naimittika Karmas, and Bhakti. And one gives up Kamya Karmas. Okay. And by practice of Nishkama Karma Yoga, the anarthas become purified, at which point one becomes qualified to give up the Nitya Naimittika Karmas, even though it is not needed. They don't have to give up, but they can give up also if they are really purified. So then at the stage of Jnana Yoga or Ashtanga Yoga, they embrace the practices of Jnana Yoga and Ashtanga Yoga, but they give up the Nitya Naimittika Karmas, but they do not give up Bhakti. Okay. Then by the practice of Jnana Yoga, Ashtanga Yoga, they may become Jivan Muktas, and at which stage they have to give up the Jnana Yoga and Ashtanga Yoga practices. This is called as the stage of Jnana Sannyas. Just like we have Karma Sannyas, we also have Jnana Sannyas, where they give up their practice of Jnana or Yoga, and eventually that little bit of Bhakti which they were practicing as a part of their gradual path, they do not give up that Bhakti. And by that Bhakti, they attain either Vaikuntha or Sayujya Mukti, depending on whether the Bhakti is predominant or the Jnana Yoga part was predominant in their practice. Okay. Either it is Pradhani Bhuta Bhakti or Guni Bhuta Bhakti that will decide whether their destination, whether it is Sayujya Mukti or Vaikuntha. So this we discussed yesterday. So this is where we ended our discussion yesterday. So we have another 35 minutes. We will try to cover today's portion. and then open up for some discussion. So then Rishabhadev continues. Okay. He says, Putramscha Shishyamscha Nrupo Gururva Madloka Kamo Madanugrahartah Ittam Vimanyur Anushishyad Atadnyan Na Yojayet Karma Sukarma Modan Kam Yojayan Manujortam Labeta Nipatayan Nashtadrisham Higarte Nripaha Gururva. Either a king or a guru, Madloka Kamaha, who is desiring to attain my abode, Mad Anugraha Artaha, in order to obtain my mercy. The king or the guru desiring to attain my abode, in order to obtain my mercy, Anushishyad, he should teach. Putramscha Sishyamscha, either his sons or his disciples, Vimanyuhu, without becoming angry. Okay. The guru should not become angry, which means the teacher should be sympathetic to the position of the student. Okay. The teacher should be very sympathetic to the situation of the student. If they cannot be sympathetic, they are not fit to teach that student. That is why someone may be a very good teacher for the higher grades, but when they have to teach very small grade children, okay, they may struggle. They may struggle. Have you ever had this experience? Your college teacher cannot teach kindergarten kids. Okay. They can empathize and deal with, grown-ups. They can teach the grown-ups, but they may not be able to teach the kindergarten kids. It's difficult because it requires a particular type of mindset, skill set, and the ability to empathize with the student. Otherwise, it leads to manyu, anger. Arey, I'm telling this small thing also you cannot understand, So the teacher has to have that patience and not become angry. Anger comes when there is lack of empathy towards the student's struggles. If you cannot empathize with the student's struggles, then it leads to anger. That is why he says here, the student, the father or the guru should teach. Anushishyed. Anushishyad. He should teach the students or the sons without becoming angry, which means with full empathy for the situation of the student, the struggles of the student or the son in his inability or difficulty in understanding the subject matter. Okay. Because of their lack of biological growth, it could be lack of maturity, it could be because they are struggling with a lot of other problems, teenage problems and other such things, because of which they are not able to grasp the importance of the subject matter. So the point is, in this whole teaching process, one should not become impatient and angry. Okay, that's what he says. Okay. Na yojayet atadnyan. He should not instruct the ignorant, karma mudan, bewildered by karmasu, by performing karmas. He should not instruct the ignorant, bewildered by karma, by performing karmas. Kamartam labeta yojayed manujo. What is achieved by engaging the ignorant man in karma? Garte nipatayan nashtadrisham. It is like throwing a blind man in a well. This is a very interesting verse because this has to be understood properly. So he says the guru or the father should not engage his disciple or sons who are in karma, even if they may be bewildered by karma. But Bhagavad Gita says, "Na buddhi bedam janayed ajnanam karma sanginam joshayet sarva karmani vidvan yuktah samacharan." Krishna says, "Oh, do not confuse, uh, do not cause buddhi beda, do not cause unnecessary confusion in uh, uh, in the followers of karma. If you clearly see that they are qualified for karma, a Jnana Yogi should not tell the Karma Yogi that, you know what, actually Jnana Yoga is superior to Karma Yoga. Why you are engaging in some inferior uh, uh, Karma Yoga? You should rather engage in superior Jnana Yoga. He should not tell that. Rather, uh, the Jnana Yogi himself should himself engage in Karma Yoga and show to that karma yogi that how that same karma can be performed for a higher goal of liberation and not the lower material goals. Joshayet sarva karmani vidvan yuktah samacharan. So the instruction to the Jnana Yogi is that do not confuse the karma yogi by discouraging him from performing karma. Rather, you also engage in karma and show him how that same karma can be performed with detachment and with the goal of liberation. Okay, that is the instruction. But here, Rishabhadev is giving a different instruction, or he is seemingly giving a different instruction. He is telling that the father or the guru should not instruct the ignorant who is bewildered by karma by performing karmas. What is achieved by engaging the ignorant man in karma? He said they should not be encouraged to do karma. It is like throwing a blind man in a well. Okay. Okay, it has reached 100. I will have to share the link. I'm sorry. Just give me a second. Okay. So here there seems to be a difference of instruction between Rishabhadev and Krishna, where Rishabhadev seems to see, don't encourage them in karma. Krishna says, don't discourage them from karma. Okay. So the reconciliation is given by Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur in the purport of that verse from Bhagavad Gita, where Krishna says, don't discourage them from karma. The reconciliation is that Krishna says, this instruction that do not encourage one who is qualified for karma, do not discourage him from karma and encourage him for jnana, this instruction is only for a jnana yogi. Why? Because is it true that jnana yoga is better than karma yoga? Yes, without a doubt, jnana yoga is better than karma yoga. But one who is qualified for karma cannot perform jnana yoga because of lack of qualification. And what is the qualification for jnana? Purification of heart. Purification of heart. So if the heart is not sufficiently purified, then he is not qualified for jnana. And what is the means of purification of heart for such people? It is karma, varnashrama karma, varnashrama dharma. Their duties of varna and ashrama, that is the means of qualification. So if you go and tell them jnana is better than karma, and they will give up karma, but at the same time, they cannot achieve perfection of jnana because they are not qualified for jnana. And what will happen? They will fall down. So therefore, Krishna says, okay, if you see a person who is very much interested in karma and enjoying the fruits of the karma, at least show him how he can perform karma for the higher fruit of liberation rather than discouraging him from karma. This is what is the instruction that Krishna gives to Jnana Yogi, which is very fair. But Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur says, But a devotee, if he can give faith in bhakti to that person who is absorbed in karma, then such a person can be discouraged from performing karma. Okay. If you can give faith in bhakti, because the principle is tavat karmani kurvita na nirvidyeta yavata mat kata shravanadavva shraddha yavanna jayate. Unless one develops faith in bhakti, one should perform karma. But if one develops faith in bhakti, one need not perform karma. Okay. So this is how the acharyas reconcile. Mm, uh, because there is a similar verse in the sixth canto also, where it is mentioned that you know, uh, that a devotee should never encourage a materialistic person on the path of karma. He says it is like just like a doctor uh, would never recommend an apatya food, food that is injurious to his diseased state. He would never recommend that for a patient. In the same way, karma should not be recommended like that. That verse is there, and this is the reconciliation. Okay, provided you can give the seed of bhakti, you can sow the seed of bhakti in his heart, then you can, because bhakti is the only path in which faith is the only qualification. Otherwise, uh, for all the other paths, there are additional qualifications. Because, for example, for jnana, one has to have faith in jnana. Faith is prerequisite for everything. Faith is prerequisite even to perform any ordinary material activity also. Faith is a prerequisite. Okay. But bhakti is the only process in which faith is the only prerequisite. Faith is the only prerequisite. There is no other prerequisite other than faith. Shraddha is the only prerequisite. Hmm. So if you can give faith in bhakti, then you can discourage. Okay. That is the principle that is being mentioned here. So here, let's continue. Let's see what Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti has to say here. Having described the qualities of bhakti and impersonal realization included in it, he here explains that the teacher of bhakti, you see here, this is instruction for teacher of bhakti, should also achieve the goal. The teacher should not be angry if the students are unable to learn. He should not instruct them on performance of karmas as in the following verse. Oh, you see, he is quoting the same verse. Na buddhi bedam janayed ajnanam karma sanginam joshayet sarvakarmani vidvan yuktah samacharan. The wise man should not disturb the intelligence of the ignorant attached to results of work. Engaging in all work himself with detachment, he should engage them in activity. So this instruction is for the jnana yogis. But if a bhakti yogi can give faith to them, then he should not encourage them in karma. That instruction is meant for those instructing jnana, but not bhakti. That's all. There is not much more commentary given here. And the same explanation is given by Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti in that Nabuddhi Bedam Janayet verse commentary also. Then he continues. Lokah swayam shreyasi nashta drishtir yortan samiheta nikama kamaha अन्योन्य वैरः सुकलेश हेतोर अनंत दुःखम च न वेद मूढ़ः. यह लोकः, the jiva, swayam shreyasi nashta drishtihi, who has lost sight of his own benefit. Nikama kamaha, he becomes extremely lusty. Arthan samiheta, and he desires objects of pleasure. Anyonya vairaha, and creating mutual enmity. Sukha lesha hetoho, for obtaining a particle of happiness. Moodaha, this foolish person. Ananta dukkam na veda, he does not realize his unending suffering. So, mahatgatanam viramayatasya. So, the jiva who has lost sight of his own benefit, he becomes extremely lusty and desires objects of pleasure. And for that, he creates mutual enmity, because limited resources, unlimited desires, you will have to fight with others to get what you want. So you will have to step on other people's head, and no one wants anyone else to step on their heads. So it creates enmity. And why all these things are happening? Because the jiva has lost sight of his real benefit. He has lost sight of his real benefit. That is the reason. So 3 verses expand on this point. Arthan means visible and invisible objects of pleasure. Nikama kamaha means one who has extreme lust. Okay. So the point is, Rishabhdev is telling, are you going to push these people on this path where everyone becomes envious of each other because they want what they want to enjoy. And by pushing them on the path of karma, you are making them live a life like this, creating enmity. Kastam swayam tad abhigno vipaschit avidyayamantare vartamanam drishtva punastam sagrinakku buddhim prayojayedutpatagam yatandam. What merciful, intelligent, wise person, seeing a foolish person in the hole of ignorance, will direct him along the same path as if guiding a blind man on the wrong path. So again and again he is pushing the same point. To encourage a materialistic person again and again on the path of karma, when you can potentially give bhakti, this is the understanding actually. When you can give them bhakti, why push them on the path of karma? Okay, this is the key. If so, basically, what he is suggesting is rather than pushing them on the path of karma, if you yourself have bhakti, try to give them agyata sukriti. Try to give them sukriti, by which they can come to bhakti, rather than just pushing them on the path of karma. That is what he says. Seeing such person's foolishness should not encourage him. Not at all. Sorry, seeing such a person's foolishness, should one encourage him? He says, not at all. Who will tell a blind man going on the wrong path to continue on that path? No one will tell him. Therefore, he concludes, Gurur na sasyat, swajano na sasyat, pita na sasyat, janani na sasyat, daivam na tatsyan, na patischa sasyan, namo chayedyas samupeta mrityum. Namo chayedyas samupeta mrityum. He who cannot deliver a person in samsara, Gurur na sasyat, he is not a guru. Swajano na sasyat, he is not a relative. Pita na sasyat, he is not a father. Janani na sasyat, she is not a mother. Daivam na tatsyat, he is not a devata. Na patischa sasyat, he is not a husband. Namo chayedyas samupeta mrityum. He who cannot deliver a person in samsara. He who cannot deliver a person means he who is not even convinced of delivering a person. He who is not even convinced of the path of liberation, and therefore himself not following and not encouraging his dependents also to follow. So such a person is not fit to be a leader. All these are leaders. Guru is a leader, father is a leader, a relative is a leader, mother is a leader, the demigod is a leader, husband is a leader. So they cannot take up those leadership roles if you cannot push your dependent onto the path of liberation. If you push him in a direction by which you perpetuate his stay in this material world, then you are not fit to be a leader. That's what he says. If one acknowledges the teacher of bhakti, this implies that others are not to be considered teachers or friends. Consequently, they should be rejected. So which means, if one acknowledges the teacher of bhakti, this implies that others are not to be considered teachers or friends. So, which means, if your friend is not encouraging you on the path of bhakti, he is not your friend. He is not your friend but you can be his friend if you can encourage him on the path of bhakti. That is the point. He is not your friend. He is not your friend, but you can be his friend if you can encourage him on the path of bhakti. Okay. So your father may not be a true father if he is not encouraging you in bhakti, but you can be a true son by encouraging your father to. So again, someone may say, okay, does it mean we should abandon? No. You can abandon your emotional dependence on that person. You can abandon your emotional dependence on that person, but you can be a source of the emotional dependence of that person so that that person may get an opportunity to come closer to Krishna. So immediately one should not say, oh, my father is a non-devotee, I will abandon him. Oh, my mother is a non-devotee, I will abandon her. Oh, my so and so, my friend, this friend is not is a non-devotee, I will abandon him. Okay. Why are we always thinking about taking? Why can't we for once think about being a giver? Okay. So my father is a non-devotee. Okay. But my father already has affection for me. So I can capitalize on that affection that he has to give a lot of opportunity for Agyata Sukriti for him. If I abandon him, where is the question of that person getting Agyata Sukriti? He had some potential. If I sincerely practice devotional service and allow that father to shower some affection on me, by showering affection on some person connected to Krishna, even though remotely, at least he gets some opportunity for some Agyata Sukriti. Okay. And my father has very good, like I'm just giving an example. He has very good hospitality mentality. Okay. Right from my school days, all my friends used to come home and there used to be very good hospitality. Okay. Then college, then, even, and the same thing continued after coming to Krishna consciousness also. Many of my devotee friends used to visit home. Father used to take care of them very nicely. Okay. Not because they are devotees, but because they are my friends. So you see, you can capitalize on this. Okay. There is an opportunity for Mahat Seva. One thing is showering your affection on you, but because of you, if he is willing to shower affection on your friends also, okay, and if your friends happen to be devotees, you know, so then it is good. You create an opportunity for the other person to get some sukriti. Okay. So here, uh, Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti says, uh, if one acknowledges the teacher of bhakti, this implies that others are not to be considered teachers or friends. Consequently, they should be rejected. They should be rejected means your emotional dependence on them should be rejected, but you can be a source of their emotional dependence. Don't be a taker, be a giver. Not that you have to completely cut that relationship. So, which means you need not consider that personality as your leader. You need not consider that personality as your leader. So just like they say that a father is the first role model for the child. A father is the first role model for the child. It is true for a long time. But what if the father happens to not a devotee, and later the child takes up to devotional service? So then the child need not abandon the father, but for the child, the father may not necessarily be the role model. But there is a relationship of gratitude that is there. The father has done so much for you. You can capitalize. We can try to give that father bhakti in return in a way that is palatable to that personality and depending on wherever he is. Okay. Facilitate some Agyata Sukriti for that father. Okay. That is the way of doing it. Okay. So therefore, here, consequently, they should be rejected means your dependence on them as role models and guides, that should be rejected. Not that the personalities themselves should be rejected and your relationship should be completely cut. That's not what it means. Okay. He who cannot free a person who is on the path of samsara by giving teachings about bhakti is not a guru or friend. So you cannot accept them as a guru. You cannot accept him as a friend. Friend means what? Where you feel a sense of emotional camaraderie. Yes, friend means what? I can hold his hands. I am looking forward to holding his hands and moving on the path. That is a friend. That sense of camaraderie. We need not feel a sense of camaraderie with them, but we can take a role of, you know, I will try to help him. I will try to handhold him. Um, I will try to handhold him and try to bring him to the path of bhakti. Okay. So you create that sense of emotional dependence. You act in such a way that the other person becomes emotionally dependent on you so that he can come to the path of bhakti. But we don't become emotionally dependent on that person, that we catch hold of his hands and close our eyes. Take me wherever you want. We don't want to do. We don't want that kind of a relationship. Okay. That is what it means. It does not mean that you immediately reject all your non-devotee friends and say that I have nothing to do with you. No, not that I don't have anything to do with you, but I want to capitalize on that affection that you have towards me to bring you to Krishna. So that um, one should definitely have that kind of a uh, mentality. Thus, Bali should give up Shukracharya as his guru. Okay. Bali should give up Shukracharya as his guru. He does not incur sinful reaction if he does not offer obeisances and respects. Similarly, Vibhishana can reject his relative, that is Ravana. Prahlad can reject his father Hiranyakashipu. Bharata can reject his mother Kaikeyi. Hmm. These are the examples. Okay. Katwanga can reject the Devata Indra. The wives of the Brahmanas can reject their husbands learned in sacrifice. So this is uh, so this is the meaning. So they can give up, which means not that you give up your affection, you give up your emotional dependence. That is what it means. Okay. Another meaning is as follows. Syat is in the potential form. He who cannot deliver another person should not take the position of guru. He should not take the position of guru if he cannot deliver. He should not accept respect and reverence. If he does, then he incurs sin. I mean, this is a very generic principle. Accepting more respect than accepting and expecting more respect than what one deserves is not gentlemanly behavior actually. If he cannot deliver the person, he should not accept the person as a disciple just so that he becomes a guru. He should not accept friendship so that he becomes a friend. He should not produce children to become a father or bear a child to become a mother. One should not accept worship to become a devata. One should not accept a wife in marriage to become a husband. So this does not mean personal ability to deliver. Okay, one should understand this. This does not mean personal ability to deliver. Okay. because that personal ability to deliver, even pure devotees may feel that they are not personally capable of delivering. So a good father need not be the most exalted devotee who is himself capable of delivering the child. All that he needs to do is to somehow inspire the child to get connected to a Sadguru. Okay. By Sadguru, I mean a good guru, not Sadguru. Okay. Because Sadguru has other meanings also. Okay. So, to a bona fide guru. Okay. It is that endeavor. It is that endeavor, not the ability. Okay. Uh, it is that endeavor, because you cannot say otherwise, if the father is unable to make his uh, son or daughter into a devotee, that does not mean he is unfit to be a father. Even though this may seem like that, but it does not exactly mean like that. It means the father should be convinced that this is how I should somehow try to instill a favorable attraction towards spiritual life in my son or daughter's heart. Okay, he should have that thing, and he should try to connect him to a bona fide guru. That is what is needed. It's not necessary that he himself has to be a Uttamadhikari, having the individual capacity and ability to deliver the child all by himself. Okay. In fact, if you see, even children of such exalted devotees have themselves not taken up to Krishna consciousness. You have the examples. You can take the example of Sri Advaita Acharya. Not all his children were themselves proper devotees. Uh, Some of them started propagating apasiddhantic teachings also. And you can see in the case of Srila Prabhupada himself, not all his children, or probably most of his children, did not take up to bhakti. So that does it mean that he should not have accepted that position? Okay, or he is incapable? So the point is in endeavor, sincere endeavor to bring those dependents closer to Krishna. If that conviction is not there, if that desire is not there to bring them closer to Krishna, then one should not accept. So it does not talk about the individual capacity. Okay, like that. Okay. Any quick discussion points, comments, questions, anything anyone would like to share as add? There are some questions in the chat box. Let's quickly take them. But in the very beginning, Shidama Saka Prabhu raised his hand. So I'll take his question first, then we will go to, uh, you know, questions in the chat box. Yes, Shidama Saka Prabhu, please go ahead.
Thank you, Prabhuji. I'm sorry, we'll actually have to drop off in 5 minutes, so thank you so much. Prabhuji, my question was, one thing was, related to this, that having the patience, for if you're a teacher, you should not get angry.
Yeah.
Now, this is a actually very, very fundamental point, very beautiful point, that as a teacher, you need patience. Now, see, as preacher, we don't need so much patience. As teacher, we need, because we need to work with them for a longer period of time. So if we don't have that patience, we're not blessed with patience. Some people, like, like for me, example, I'm an impatient person. I need to see results quickly. I'm just wired that way. So because of that, with our children, with our dependents, sometimes we become impatient, and that actually becomes counterproductive to what you actually wanted to do. So we say by associating with enthusiastic people, you become enthusiastic. But I have not seen that by associating with patient people, you become patient. You become more impatient. When you see patient people, you get more agitated actually. So how do we develop this quality of patience? And one more thing, which is the point you made, about uh, The point you made about if your father is a non-devotee, you should abandon emotional dependence. I love that one. Beautiful point, Guruji. Thank you so much. Yeah. So back to your question. Back to the question. Patience.
Yeah.
Not getting
So
angry.
you said that if we associate with patient people, we don't become patient. Rather, we become all the more impatient. This depends. This is true with anything. If a non-enthusiastic person is
Hmm.
associating with another enthusiastic person, he may become enthusiastic or he may not become enthusiastic, depending on what is the purpose of association. Okay.
Hmm.
So when you associate with a very patient person as a as for performing a particular duty together, so then there is very likely, so you are not associating with him to learn patience, you are just associating with him to finish the job together. So if he is patiently doing and if you are impatiently doing, it's very likely that you will get irritated, because the purpose
Yeah.
of association is not to learn patience. The purpose of association is to work together, and because one being patient, another being impatient, there is a clear mismatch of natures, so that will cause problem. So
Yeah.
if we enroll ourselves, if we have identified that impatience is a problem and it is affecting me, if it is affecting my performance, it is affecting my relationships and everything, so I need to learn impatience. I have identified impatience as a problem, and if we have enrolled ourselves in a school under a teacher who is going to teach us patience, then we have defined a very clear role. We have accepted, we have a goal. We have gone there to learn patience. So we will not see the teacher as a collaborator to complete a job. We will see him as a teacher from whom we can learn. So when that mentality is there, then we will start learning. So it is not that when we associate with impatient people, we become all the more impatient. It's just that if we associate with them, or after identifying that, yes, impatience is a serious problem in me and I need to learn patience, with that mood when we associate, then we will start learning. Then we will see, okay, he is right, I am wrong. Okay, I need to learn and he needs to teach. When that mentality is there, then automatically then we will start learning.
Yes, true. Hare Krishna.
Yes, Prabhu, please go ahead.
Yeah. So, Prabhuji, if we have been impatient with people and we have kind of given upon them after a point,
Yeah,
is there a way to rectify that? Because you ultimately you want to be a well-wisher, you want to be
yeah,
that person who helps them come to the path of bhakti.
yeah.
So, how do you rectify if you have made these mistakes?
Well, one thing is the immediate solution uh, uh, is to understand that I am incapable of helping them because of my impatient nature. I am incapable of helping them. But if they come in touch with someone who is little more patient with them, they can definitely uh, improve. So
Hmm.
this is natural. Okay, overnight
Hmm.
we cannot change. People have their own natures. Like for example,
Yeah.
if you see, there are the institutes which train you for competitive exams. Okay, there are
Yeah.
institutes. I will give an example which you can relate with. Okay,
Hmm.
because I know what your daughter is involved in these kind of things.
Hmm.
So
Hmm. Hmm.
she will be able to relate with this. So uh, there are institutes which are training people for ultra competitive exams like JE Advanced, JE Mains, where you need like people who are super intelligent and you train them. Okay. But there are people who are slow learners. They are dyslexics. They have learning disorders. They have comprehending disorders. They are very slow and they need some special help to learn. Okay. So, and that teacher may not be super intelligent to teach JEE advanced problems, but they may have the patience to handhold a slow learner and slowly help them learn. So these two are two different skills. So both are teachers, but both are teaching students of different capacities, and both needs different skills. So we may be able to give a very wonderful lecture to very intellectual people and connect them very easily to Krishna consciousness. But when it comes to dealing with people with gross addictions, we may think that I'm wasting my time, because that's because not philosophically, but in terms of, we are unable to convince them. We have always seen people immediately accept whatever we say. And here, to even get them to listen to us in a stable consciousness, we are finding it difficult. So probably we need, so you can see your daughter, she deals with children who are very slow learners, handhold them and bring them to, so that is a different skill. So we have to identify our situation, whatever is our, we have to see it as our incapacity. So we can, we don't have to give up on that person as a student. We can give up on ourselves as a teacher, that I lack the skills and ability to help this person. He needs a person who has different skills. And, like that, we can hand that person over to a person whom that they are experts in, in helping these kind of people, like that.
Wonderful, Bhuji. Thank you so much. This is so beautiful. Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Yes, okay. Some quick questions in the chat box we will take. How do we justify the statement that because of lack of faith, one falls for sense gratification in the case of devotees? Yeah, I mean, one falls for sense gratification means it is not necessary that they will fall to sense gratification in the sense that gross sense gratification. They might gratify their senses in different other ways, like by pursuing a good material life or things like that, not pursuing bhakti, but pursuing other things. So sense gratification does not necessarily mean gross addiction. Okay, gross addictions, it does not necessarily mean that. Okay. Of the 4 levels of pure devotional service discussed earlier, that is spontaneous, yukta vairagya, dovetailing, and succumbing, when bhakti is performed at dovetailing level, does that not mean the performance depends on varna, ashrama of the devotee? In which case, how do we understand bhakti is independent of anything material? Well, we did not say that, see, bhakti is independent, but the performer may be dependent. So when we say that bhakti is independent of varnashrama, what we mean to say is that the strict practices, the guidelines given in the Dharma Shastras, one need not follow that. But definitely, one should try to perform bhakti according to their nature. Okay. One should try to perform bhakti according to their nature. That performance is recommended, but that does not mean that the performer has become dependent on the Dharma Shastras. Okay. And are the injunctions of the Dharma Shastras. That we are not. But performing activities according to one's material nature, that is natural. Srila Rupa Goswami himself says, the choice of particular limbs of bhakti is swavasana anusarena. Okay. It is according to one's vasanas, material vasanas only. So initially, one need not say, oh, I am choosing garland making. Okay. I like to do garlands. Maybe in the spiritual world, I will be making garlands to Radha and Krishna. That's why I feel like I am attracted to this garland making. Probably not. Probably not. Hmm. Probably, actually, it is the other way around. Here, if you like garland making and you keep making garlands, and gradually you become absorbed in that service, and it is quite possible that if you get that particular nourishment in that direction, you may eventually uh, start doing that service only for the pleasure of Radha and Krishna and the spiritual world. Not because that's your eternal position, but because that is how you have cultivated your taste. And that initial taste came from our material vasana only. So, like that. So, it is not that. Okay, there is another. To frame the question a slightly different way, although the goal is different, what is the difference in the means between Nishkama Karma Yoga and Bhakti Yoga at the stage of dovetailing? At the stage of dovetailing, oh, this is a very good question. Okay. What is the difference between, so in Nishkama Karma Yoga, the difference is that in Nishkama Karma Yoga, we perform activities which are prescribed in the Dharma Shastras. In Bhakti Yoga, we try to perform activities which are prescribed in the Bhakti Shastras. In Nishkama Karma Yoga, we perform activities with the impetus that, oh, if this is dharmic, I will do. If this is not dharmic, I will not do. But in Bhakti Yoga, the impetus for performing activities is anukulyasya sankalpo pratikulyasya varjanam. If it is anukul for my bhakti, then I will do. If it is pratikul for my bhakti, then I will not do. Okay. So that is the difference. And in Nishkama Karma Yoga, one very diligently, without fail, performs the varnashrama duties, thinking that if I don't perform, it will be sinful. But in Bhakti Yoga, one may sometimes accept occupations according to their nature, but not that if I don't do it, I will get sinful reactions, not in that sense. Maybe because he finds it more natural to engage in that particular occupation. For that reason, he may accept, but not otherwise. Okay. So, like that, there is a difference between Nishkama Karma Yoga and Bhakti Yoga. So, Nishkama Karma Yoga is different and Bhakti Yoga is different, even at the stage of dovetailing. Okay, another question. What if one is not able to instill the faith? Okay, if one is unable to instill the faith in the recipient, so this is in conjunction with, we said that if the devotee is able to instill the faith in bhakti, then he can prohibit him from performing karma. So in that context, the question is asked, what if the devotee is unable to instill that faith? Then, so this is where it is very important that we have to see whether we are approaching that person as a representative of ISKCON, or are we approaching them personally one-on-one? Okay. So this is very important. If we cannot instill faith in bhakti, then as a representative of ISKCON, I will still try to do whatever is needed to help them accumulate some sukriti so that in future they can develop faith in bhakti. I would not, as a representative of the institution, I would not encourage them to engage in karma, because if that encouragement comes, then naturally I have to tell them, you know what, if you have to engage in karma, then you accept a karma guru, learn your karma, study the Dharma Shastras, and do all that. And if I was a representative of the institution, if you are speaking like that, then they will think that, oh, so in ISKCON, they recommend Dharma Shastras. In ISKCON also, they recommend study of Dharma Shastras and performance of Dharma Shastras. So if I am a representative of ISKCON, and if I don't see faith in the recipient, if I don't see in the recipient faith in bhakti, then would I encourage them to do karma? Probably not. Rather, what I will do is whatever is possible within my capacity to help them come one step closer to developing that faith, which means if I can facilitate their accumulation of some agyata sukriti, I will do that. But on a personal level, one-on-one level, if I see that they are already very nicely practicing karma, the path of karma, then I may encourage them. But the chances are that it is, tends to zero. Practically, I don't think anyone would fall within that category. So for all practical purposes, the answer for this question is, if you don't see faith in bhakti, then the principle is, where there is faith, you give bhakti. Where there is lack of faith, you try to facilitate their developing that faith by giving some opportunities for getting some agyata sukriti, like that. Okay, next question. Verse 5.18 is the most quoted verse to parents to push their children also towards Krishna consciousness, or make them feel guilty if their children do not accept the process of Krishna consciousness. Please explain. I'm sorry, I feel this is a very wrong way of interpreting this verse. Bhakti can never be pushed. So this interpretation is a highly counterproductive interpretation. This kind of interpretation is it can cause serious harm to the children's potential taking up to bhakti. So it just means that the father should understand the science of bhakti first. Okay. The father or the parent should understand the science of bhakti. Okay. The science of bhakti is such that only when they feel a sense of freedom, bhakti gets nourishment only from a feeling of freedom. When they feel a sense of freedom, then they feel like practicing it. If it is pushed, it is not bhakti actually. The children, because they are financially dependent, physically dependent, emotionally dependent, they don't want to lose that dependence. So they may end up doing. But in future, when they become independent, they will become independent of bhakti also, because they never had it in first place. They are just waiting for that time when they can get their wings to fly. They will fly away from the parents. They will fly away from bhakti also. So the best thing is parents should give the children a good experience at home, so that gradually they get some favorable devotional impressions while they are growing up. And when that accumulates and reaches a particular threshold, automatically they will take up to bhakti. That is my understanding. Okay. So now no more chat box questions. Please do not type any further chat box questions. We will just take some verbal discussion points. Yes, Sita Kant Ram Prabhu.
Hari Prabhuji, in relation with the commentary that Srila Vishnachakar commentary, that if we can inspire a person in bhakti, we can encourage him to not perform karma. The same, like similar shloka we have in Bhagavad Gita, Arukshir Muni Yugam, that one. So in our ISKCON Prabhuji, like we do youth preaching, a lot of temples, many temples, almost all the temples are doing youth preaching. And they inspire the people, students to take up to Krishna consciousness. And when they complete their graduation, many times it happens that without encouraging them to work, sometimes they encourage them to directly join the brahmachari ashram. And there are cases that some devotees, fortunately, they join brahmachari ashram and they're able to successfully continue. And there are some cases that devotees later they realize that they cannot practice Krishna consciousness in ashram, and they wanted to go outside. And if they realize within maybe 1 or 2 years, it's fine, probably. Sometimes it may take 5 years or 6 or 7 years that you cannot remain in a temple and practice. So when they go outside, they I mean, they might have forgotten that whatever the latest
Skills.
technology.
Yeah.
So what is your opinion, Roji? Should we encourage the devotees to take like that, or should inspire them to work few years outside? And
Well, this is a different topic altogether. We are talking about, it's not that working outside is karma and joining the ashram is bhakti. It is not like that. Okay. So first thing we have to understand, bhakti can be performed in any ashram and any varna. So there is no material disqualification for practicing bhakti. So we are talking about encouraging them on the path of karma, means encouraging them to the study of dharma shastras and practicing their occupation and everything according to their dharma, according to their varnashrama dharma. The topic of discussion was on that topic. Okay, so it was not about to encourage, whether to encourage them in brahmachari ashram or not, because bhakti can be practiced in brahmachari ashram also, bhakti can be practiced in grihastha ashram also. So yes, this is a whole different topic, very interesting topic. We should discuss on this, but the theme that we are discussing is slightly different. It is about karma and bhakti, not about practicing bhakti in grihastha ashram or the brahmachari ashram. That is not the topic of discussion. Maybe definitely we will take up this topic sometime. But for now, I think if we start the discussion in this direction, then we may get somewhat distracted.
Okay, bro. Fine.
We will take this question some other time. Yeah.
Thank you.
Pavan Gaurang, Prabhu. Yes, Prabhu.
Prabhuji, yes. My question regarding this one, you have given the chart, right, Prabhu, for whatever the practices, karma yoga, ashtanga yoga, jnana yoga. If he is practicing, ultimately bhakti need to be there till the end, and the other practices he need to give up. In that, you mentioned that Sakama Karma Yogi can also enter into the Brahman platform. You mentioned, am I right, Prabhu? Correct
No,
thing?
Sakama Karma Yogi cannot enter into Brahman platform. Sakama Karma Yoga, you have to see it as one of the stages of the gradual path. So Sakama Karma Yoga, when he is practicing it properly, he will eventually become a Nishkama Karma Yoga. Then that Nishkama Karma Yogi will become a Jnana.
Your voice is fading, Prabhu. I don't.
Is my voice fading? Is it a problem with my internet, or can others hear my voice clearly? Can you please type on the chat box, is my voice clear? Oh, they're telling that they are not able to hear my voice. Okay.
Just now it was fading, Prabhu. Just now it just faded.
Now it's okay. Okay.
Yeah, it's now.
Yeah. So the point is that what I meant was, it's not that Nishkama Karma Yoga is a different path, Sakama Karma Yoga is a different path, and Jnana Yoga is a different path. No, not like that. They are all stages of the same path. The same path towards liberation. So he starts with Sakama Karma Yoga, and if he properly practices Sakama Karma Yoga, then he would naturally come to the stage of Nishkama Karma Yoga. And then he will come to the stage of, then he'll become qualified for Jnana, and then eventually give up that Jnana also and attain liberation. But a Sakama Karma Yogi, while remaining a Sakama Karma Yogi, cannot attain Sahajya Mukti.
Okay. Now I get, bro. Why? Because I got this question. If that is the case, like this is the thought it came. Why? Because in the Sakama Karma Yogi, you mentioned that Kami Karma and then Naimittik Karma and Nitti Karma. So basically, I quoted that sloka. if kami karma is there, kami karma means basically it shows the lamentation and hankering. Kami karma means in general, desire means either hankering or something. We are gaining something. In that sense, in the Bhagavad Gita, it quotes that Brahma Bhuta Prasannatma na sochiti na kankshiti. He should be given up these things. So that's why I mean got the kind of question.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Hare Krishna. Mamta Mataji. Dandavat pranam, Mataji.
Prabhuji, when we try to assist, thank you, Prabhuji. When we try to when we are actually taking the responsibility of being the emotional dependence, many a times it happens that yes, we are trying to we are trying to survive our own bhakti while we are trying to stay strong, but otherwise because we are being associating, which will further push us down from not getting uh, uh, you know enough of connection with Krishna. Because of that, it so happens that when we are trying to assist others,
Mhm.
like we discussed over here, that we will whether it's devotees or non-devotees,
Mhm.
even devotees who are practicing, who's beginning, even when we are associating with such devotees to that length,
Mhm.
it diminishes our own bhakti many a times, and many a times we dwindle even though we don't want to do certain things, because we have to assist this person. We have we have this in our mind that yes, we are trying to stay in this association only because you want to help the person, but we ourselves deviate, and then we get derived, or we get derailed.
Yeah.
How do we or how do we
Yeah. So this
go about that, Prabhu?
happens if we are not properly connected upstairs. If we are extending our hands downstairs, but the other hand is not connected upstairs, then when the downward person pulls us, then we will also go down. So, but if we are connected upstairs properly, which means if we are getting proper spiritual nourishment and emotional nourishment from properly practicing devotees, then we feel uh, by being nourished, we can extend that nourishment to someone below. But if we are not getting sufficiently, if we are not feeling that nourishment within, and if we are just extending down, then we will be pulled down.
Prabhuji, I think I didn't frame it well. I meant that because we have been associating with somebody who we want to assist, that is taking away our time to associate, our association, or making
So
ourselves
that is the point.
continue.
So yeah, same context only I'm telling. So like Radha Gopinath Prabhu gives this example of you have a well. If you have a well where water is generated from the ground, and you take that water and use it. Okay. So, but if you keep on removing that water without giving sufficient time for that water to get replenished from the ground, then the well will become dry. So we have to remove the water, then allow the water table to replenish the well, and then remove more water, like that. So that way, it's not that we give so much time that we don't get sufficient time for our self-nourishment.
So in that case, we will have to lose the association also.
Yeah, I mean, it's not that the whole world is waiting for us to deliver them. So first we take care
Of course not.
Yeah, we have to see that we ourselves feel properly nourished, because we can give only the nourishment that we possess, only that much we can pass it on to others. So unless we definitely have to take time to nourish ourselves.
Okay, Prabhuji. Okay, thank you so much. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Sita Komal Mataji.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji, Pranam. Prabhuji, just now you were explaining, to be, we can be parent only if we can deliver, we can be friends only if we can deliver. And you gave the example of a father. It's not that he has to be Uttam Adhikari, he can have good abilities. He may not have the ability, but the endeavor providing the favorable environment at home, trying to connect the child to the right guru, this all becomes the endeavor of the father. And then that father is eligible, that kind of a devotee, a person is eligible to be a father. So Prabhuji, this is okay in the case of a father, but how do we understand if our mentor,
Mhm.
matlab, what is the qualification of a mentor then? He is also just supposed to provide us
Same.
his
Same.
endeavors.
The mentor himself need not be a very exalted person, but as long as the mentor can direct you in the right direction so that you can come closer to Krishna, then he is fit to be a mentor.
So directing us to the right direction, that means to the guru.
Like for example, he may encourage you. Are you chanting your rounds regularly? Are you hearing Krishna Katha regularly? Are you studying regularly? That is also a kind of mentoring. That for um, so that person may not be necessarily an Uttamadhikari. If he's an Uttamadhikari, it's very good. But even if he's a Madhyamadhikari, that is good enough. At least he is pushing you in the right direction from where we are.
Okay. So for every all the associations we are having or we are giving, the important is the endeavor of that person, is not the ability of that person.
Yeah. Yeah.
So in case of Guru Maharaj, but Guru Maharaj should be able to deliver us.
Yeah. The Guru Maharaj should be able to deliver us, or he should be able to deliver us to another Guru who is capable of delivering us.
Okay. Right. Thank you so much, Prabhuji. Thank you. Hare Krishna Pranam.
Hare Krishna. Okay, so I think we will pause here. It's time. Radha Pramod Prabhu is again traveling, so we will not be having the Prabhupada discussion session today. So we'll pause here. Thank you all very much for your patient listening and your enthusiastic participation. Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur Pad ki jai, Srimad Bhagavatam.